Hello and welcome to Picture a Better Tomorrow, brought to you by United Way of Central West Virginia, Kanawha County Schools TV, and Suddenlink Communications. You know, next week is Christmas, so you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Oh, tax season comes right after Christmas. So I'm joined this morning by Cassel, Pulliam, and Valicia, Leary, and we're going to talk about the EITC program. So, Cassel, we talk in acronyms all the time. You work for the IRS.
Yes.
In fact, I think you're a senior stakeholder relationship tax consultant.
Good job.
That's a big long.
Remember that.
That's a big long. But you told me before we started taping here, you're actually working for the good part of the IRS because you give money away.
You know, that's almost true, John. I am the one IRS staff member in West Virginia that helps to coordinate what we call the VITA program, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. We have about 500 volunteers around the state that prepare and e-file federal and state tax returns for taxpayers, all for free. And last year we did over 50,000 returns.
Wow,
Yep.
all for free.
All for free.
So, there's this other acronym in the tax code called EITC.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what EITC is.
Well, I have a button on here about it. The Earned Income Tax Credit is a refundable tax credit. It means you can actually get money back. It's a credit that's available to folks who have earned income, as the name suggests, people who work or people who have their own small businesses. And it gives money back over and above whatever tax liability you might have. So you can actually put money back in your pocket. This year, families with 3 children can receive some of that tax credit with incomes up to over $50,000. And a lot of families will get over $6,000 at the end of tax season with the earned income tax credit.
That's a pretty significant one-time payday. Valicia, you're the EITC coordinator for a specific region in West Virginia. Which region is that?
I oversee 6 counties. They include Kanawha, Putnam, Boone, Logan, and Mingo County.
And coincidentally, you're also the executive director of the Children's Therapy Clinic, which just happens to be a funded agency of the United Way of Central West Virginia.
Yes, I am.
So tell us about your connection with those 2 jobs.
Okay. Well, about 10 or 11 years ago, I decided to start a VITA site at the clinic. We have a lot of low-income families, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity if I could offer the volunteer tax program for our clients and for people in that area. So I started having a site at the clinic, and then a few years later became the coordinator to oversee the whole program here.
So tell us a little bit about what that coordination means. Recruiting volunteers, just give us an overview of what that looks like.
It means I help recruit volunteers, train the volunteers, help get new sites to offer the taxes in this program, help promote it, help continue it in this area, and work together along with the other EITC coordinators or the VITA coordinators in the whole state.
So how many VITA sites do we have in the footprint counties that you mentioned?
Right now I believe we have about 6. I would love to have more. We have 3 in Kanawha County, I believe, 1 in Putnam, a new one in Logan, and a new one in Mingo County.
And these are sites, Cassel, where taxpayers can literally come and get tax advice or tax preparation or do their taxes themselves? I mean, what's the VITA
Well,
site
all those
look like?
options are available, John. And statewide, we have about 60 different locations in the VITA program where folks can go and have their returns prepared. Our sister organization, the AARP, has what they call tax aid sites, which are the same as VITA sites. We have about 30 of those. And then we have statewide about 25 or 30 online sites where folks can go and prepare their own returns with assistance. But they can go during the tax season to www.wveitc.com and put in their zip code, and they can find where the local VITA site is for them to attend.
So just so I understand, the tax preparation, whether it's done by the taxpayer online themselves or at a VITA site, typically is free of charge.
Correct.
It's absolutely free of charge in every case. We have a traditional VITA where our volunteers actually sit down, take your W-2s, 1099s, whatever, put it into the software package, create your return, and electronically file it. But then we have sites where the volunteer is there to assist you, where you are preparing your own return and e-filing it. We use what's called myfreetaxes.com. On that website, H&R Block provides their software for free for folks with adjusted gross incomes up to $64,000. And at one of our VITA sites that sponsor My Free Taxes, they can receive assistance from a certified, trained VITA volunteer, or they can go online to one of our remote sites and receive assistance on the phone by a toll-free number to myfreetaxes.com.
That's pretty cool. So Valicia, let's say I want to volunteer to be a VITA person, VITA site person. Do I need to be a retired accountant? Do I need to be a private? What are the qualifications?
It's really very simple. We provide the training. If you've done your own return before, it's very much like that. Most of the returns we do are simple returns. We are limited by the program what type of returns we can do, so it's nothing to be nervous about or feel that you do have to be a CPA. I'm not an accountant or a CPA at all, but I've always done my own taxes, so I'm very comfortable with doing it. And again, we have computer software. As long as you know where to put the information, it prepares the returns, and everyone's happy.
So most of the individuals filing are eligible for a refund.
Mm-hmm.
The EITC credit is typically or potentially in addition to their normal refund, and their taxes are done for free. Mm-hmm. So how many returns did we do in the footprint area that you were talking about last year?
About 700, I believe. I'm trying to remember exactly.
Yeah, and then Cassel statewide, we did about how many returns?
Over 50,000. Now I'm counting both the federal and the state returns, so you could pretty much double that 700 figure here for Central West Virginia.
Right.
And you know, you're talking about the type of volunteers that we're looking for. What I always tell people is there are two qualifications to be a volunteer. The first is that you want to serve, that you want to help people.
Sure.
And the second one, and it may go along with the first and it may not, is our volunteers are people that like to put square pegs in square holes. They're people that enjoy, you know, the challenge of preparing a tax return. Folks, they get a return finished, they e-file it, it's accepted by the IRS, they get excited. You know, not just because they've helped somebody, but they've accomplished something.
I'm going to guess part of the excitement is the look on the taxpayer's face when they all of a sudden figure out and realize that they're going to get a EITC credit of $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 depending on their tax situation, and that probably is quite a surprise.
And sometimes a lot more than that. I know that Valicia has had this experience. We have folks sometimes that come in that have not filed taxes for several years because they were afraid they owed money. And as it ended up, they didn't owe money, but they had earned income tax credit coming back. So filing past year returns, some folks will leave with $12,000 or $13,000. You take a single mom with 2 children that's working at minimum wage, and you give her $13,000, that is life-changing.
Sure is. So when you talk about not only the refund, not only the EITC credit, but if you do the math on the 50,000 returns statewide or the 700 or so that are done here within the central southern West Virginia portion of the EITC program, at an average of $300 or so for a typical return, that's some significant savings right there that goes or stays in the pocket of the taxpayer or doesn't come out of the refund of the taxpayer, which just increases their ability to go out and spend that money.
Right.
Absolutely.
With our program, they also get their return within 7 to 10 business days. So it's a very quick return with the direct deposit. So they're not going to wait longer for their return just because it was free. And there are also other credits that a lot of our taxpayers had not realized, education credits or other things. And they're so surprised and so thankful for us to help them asking the right questions, learning what else they can claim on their taxes and they're eligible for.
Yeah, so money could be used to catch up on debts, pay off student loans, prepay or pay in advance your mortgage or car payment, put money in a 529 plan for a child or grandchild. I mean, there's all kinds of options that the taxpayer would have just thanks to this program.
John, our slogan on the button, I don't know if you can read it, it says, earn it, keep it, save it. So, we hope that folks will set aside some of their refund for a rainy day. You can purchase U.S. savings bonds on your tax return. You can also contribute to a MyRA account, a retirement account that's been started by the U.S. Treasury. There are lots of things that you can do with that money. And, some folks, honestly, they've spent it before they get it. But hopefully they can use it constructively and it really benefits their family.
And just to repeat, Valicia, something you said just now, the return gets to the taxpayer in 7 to 10 days. So it's not like they're waiting for 6 or 8 weeks to get the return. It's a quick turnaround. It's typically direct deposited into an existing bank account or savings account. So it's not like this is a deterrent because you have to wait for your return.
Right. They get all the benefits of any place doing their returns, and it's free.
Now there is one exception, and for this year only. Congress passed legislation last year that says that the IRS has to hold up refunds to anyone that's claiming the earned income tax credit or what's called the additional child tax credit. And those folks won't receive their refunds until February 15th. But otherwise, we turn around return just as fast as anyone in the industry.
So W-2s will start popping out from various employers in mid to late January, so that's when all the activity will start. Valicia, you were saying that you're already receiving some inquiries from taxpayers. Can you give us the website one more time and kind of identify what's there available for the taxpayer to contact you regarding the VITA sites?
Right. On the West Virginia, it's wveitc.com. They can find where all the sites are located within the state. The My Free Taxes website is also linked on there, so they can find out where they can find their assistance, where they can volunteer if they choose to do that. It really gives them all the information and the guidelines.
Volunteer one more time. Back to the training. So how much training is involved? Quite obviously, during the tax season, there's some time donated by the volunteers to man the VITA sites. How much training is involved, and when does that take place?
We typically do a 2 full-day training with my area, and it usually will be in January, so I haven't scheduled it yet, so there's still time for people to volunteer. We work together on the returns, and if they need extra time, I'm glad to help with that. When we do the returns, actually, we have to have 2 people. We have 1 person prepare and 1 review, so that's also a great way to make sure we haven't missed anything, that we haven't forgotten anything. So it's really a good checks and balances as well.
I think one of the concerns that taxpayers have sometimes is that if I make a mistake, then in the dark of night, someone will come knocking on my door, and it'll be an Internal Revenue Service agent that will be there to audit my return. So what's the accuracy rate of the taxes that are done at VITA sites when they're transmitted into the IRS?
Nationwide, and this is statistically accurate, we had over 95% of the returns that we filed last year were 100% correct. So we don't make a lot of mistakes. What we do, however, is rely on the information that the taxpayer brings. And occasionally we'll have someone that comes back in a few weeks and says, I forgot to tell you about this that I received or that I received. And in those cases, we can typically file an amended return so that if they owe a little more or they get a little bit more back, it's all done correctly.
And as you mentioned before, Cassel, amended returns also apply to previous tax years, even if the taxpayer was filing on a regular basis, like we all should, and they overlooked the EITC opportunity or whatever. an amended return could be filed this coming tax year and pick up some of those credits from years past.
Absolutely. And you know, I think folks are afraid of audits a little bit more than they need to be. We really audit a very small number of returns nationwide, but we can go back with the